see Kartik. Nice. People are coming in.
Hey, I started recording, so I will kick off and hand over to you in a minute. So, thanks everybody for joining this meeting. I think it's our 32nd meeting already in the WP Ninjas Tuesdays webinar. Started when actually the whole COVID-19 crisis actually started, and doing this on a 2-weekly basis with some pauses in between. The counts matter. So here we go. Hey, thanks to our sponsors. Without sponsors, we cannot organize these events, and more on that later. So a big thank you for our sponsors. They are sponsoring our user group, and we really appreciate that. We are on social media, of course. So if you want to tag us, use the hashtag WPNinjasNL if you want. You can follow us on Facebook. I don't think we are really active on Facebook, but our meetup page is active, of course. We have our own YouTube channel nowadays with a really nice URL because we now have a lot of members, and then you can change that URL as well. And we have some upcoming events which we want to announce as well. So I think in a little bit more than 2 weeks, we have our first on-premises event again, which we announced today. So we will be meeting each other again, if permitted, because due to COVID-19, you never know. And things are changing here in the Netherlands as well. So there's a slight chance that maybe things will change, but we have good hopes that we can actually meet each other again on November 4th. That will be on a Thursday. 2 weeks after, we have a live Ask Us Anything by Ronnie and Frans again about Azure Platform Security with Tom. And 2 weeks after, we have our own Tuesdays webinar again, but we haven't found a speaker yet. So, but I don't think that will be a big issue, and we will announce that soon. So about that meetup on the 4th of November, that will be in Almkerk, the Netherlands. That is near where Erik lives, a little bit in the south of the Netherlands. It's in the week of Microsoft Ignite. So we will be discussing all the announcements made during Ignite. We will be talking about Windows Server 2022, which is already out, of course, and Windows 11. So we will have some interesting sessions there. We have a confirmed speaker, Ronald Bekelaar, who many of you may know him already. And we, as the Workplace Ninja team, will also take some sessions there. Well, the movie, I'm not going to say it, but maybe you can guess based on what you are seeing here. But after we are finished, you have the possibility to attend watching a movie together with us to actually conclude the evening together. So if you want to be a part of this, we have a 50-person limit at the moment. So be quick, and you can join by RSVPing on our meetup page. I think maybe.
Can you hear me,
Kenneth? Sorry, Ari.
Yeah, because I want to explain that on the previous slide you said webinar, and I think the 4th of November will not be recorded, right? So it will be only an in-person live event instead of being a webinar.
So you have to attend, and you can't watch on YouTube. That's a good remark indeed. So 2 weeks after, we have another event again where we will actually meet each other. And this is actually the event where also Mirko will join us in the Netherlands. So we will be able to see people from outside of the Netherlands again. That's the App Manage event on the 11th of November in the Jaarburgs in Utrecht, which is in the center of the Netherlands, with many speakers, many topics, and we have some discounted tickets available. So if you are interested in joining that event and you're listening, please contact us, and we can make sure that you get a discount on the entrance fee if you want to attend. Well, if you feel the urge or the need to speak for our user group, you can do that as well. So you can contact either one of us or just submit a session on Sessionize. We are regularly reviewing those sessions and picking speakers from Sessionize to present for our user group. So feel free to do that as well. But yeah, that's enough about us. I want to hand over the presentation to Izzy and Holly. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you taking time for us to present. And yeah, we're very curious about what you have to tell, of course. So go ahead.
Yeah, so Kenneth, thank you so much for inviting us to speak at your user group today. Of course, we would have loved to be there in person. However, we make the best out of it, and we're very happy to be part of it online. So yeah, let's kick off. So today we're going to present on women in tech, about head in the cloud and heart in the community. So the session today is brought to you by my dear friend, Holly Lehman, who's a product marketing manager for Microsoft Teams. And myself, I'm a community manager at Experts Insight and a Microsoft MVP. And I'm especially happy to say that we are back. This is our first session in months because we have been on a little break. Some people were wondering why. Some people know, some people don't, but it was mainly, well, I don't want to say my fault, but I was on maternity leave. So thank you, Holly, for being so kind and understanding that I really wanted to focus on mommyhood, and very happy that we are back together. So who are we? Let's head over to Holly. Holly, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. So I'm so happy to be here today. Based on my many roles in Microsoft, many of these names that I'm seeing are so familiar, and it's really bringing me a lot of joy to be joining everybody today. So a little bit for those of you that don't know me, my name is Holly Lehman. I am a Las Vegas native, born and raised. I moved to Seattle about 10 years ago to be with my husband and our family. And yeah, my whole background is really hospitality, and Microsoft gave me the opportunity to really restart my whole career by bringing my skills and whatever talents I have to share with Microsoft as I revamp myself into the world of community management in Microsoft. I personally am a mom of, I say 3. I have 2 little girls and my sweet little dog Poppy, and my wonderful husband who is also here in Seattle. We all are here together as a family, and I'm so happy to be here, joined with my friend Izzy. So Izzy, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself for those that don't know you.
Absolutely. So my full name is Isidora, but feel free to call me Izzy, just because that's easy to remember. So I'm based in Switzerland. However, I'm born in former Yugoslavia, but I grew up in the Netherlands, where I lived almost all my life. So once again, I'm super happy to speak at a Dutch user group, because it almost feels like coming home. Where I haven't been in at least over 400 days due to all the travel restrictions and everything. So I cannot wait to go back to the Netherlands, especially because I miss, for the people who do know, stroopwafels, kroketten, and hagelslag. If you're based in the Netherlands and you feel very sorry for me, I'm always happy if you send me stroopwafels. So yeah, enough about that. So I live in Switzerland. I'm a community manager at Experts Insight, which is a Swiss-based Microsoft Gold partner. Last year, I became a Microsoft MVP, so I'm very happy to be part of that family too, which opens lots of opportunities, including speaking here today. So what we want to talk about, Holly, tell us more.
So I'll start by saying we're going to tell you what our story is. And we're sharing this story because this is our passion. But when you're thinking about this show and what we have to share with you today, think about what your passion is and what your goals are and how you can use our tips and tricks to make your goals achievable. So head in the cloud, heart in the community. What in the world is that? When we started this, I was on Azure. And as we all know, we talk about on-prem and in the cloud. So we just felt that head in the cloud was a perfect starting point for this series. And heart in the community. The two of us, Izzy and I, we have always had a huge passion for community. In fact, community is what brought the two of us together. And so during COVID, we wanted to find a way to keep community engaged and share the positive. And so we decided to start Head in the Cloud, Heart in the Community, where we virtually travel the world talking to all different people in technology. It doesn't have to be Microsoft, doesn't have to be just MVP. If you're in the tech community, we want to hear from you and showcase your amazing, incredible work. So that's how we got started. And now we have a monthly video series, Head in the Cloud, Heart in the Community. So let's dig in.
That's right. And it's, of course, Twitter that brought us together. And we did not just start the show. It had a little, let's say, pre-teaser.
Yes.
What about this, Holly?
So I don't know how many of you saw this, but we were razzing some of our friends, if you don't know them, Joey Snow and Rick Klaus, who have their own tech podcast. And they are Microsofties as well. And we thought it would be fun to just kind of make a little joke and make it lively. So we tested them and we did a TikTok where Izzy and I virtually did a TikTok together. She edited it, we put it out there, and for whatever reason, this post went crazy. And we thought to ourselves, well, if people are laughing and sharing and liking and retweeting this funny little post, maybe we're onto something. Maybe the passion that the two of us have for just being fun and silly and our love for community, we might have something. So the reason I'm sharing this next piece is for those of you that are nervous about starting something or asking for help or support. I can't tell you guys how nervous I was. I sent Izzy 3 texts, and before I hit send, I deleted them because I was so worried she was going to say, no, I don't have the time to do a podcast video series with you. And then finally, I thought the worst thing she could say is no. So I hit send, and she loved the idea. And that's how the whole thing got started, over a TikTok video and a question. And I was just so happy that I hit send.
Absolutely, yeah. So it all started with fun. So speaking of fun, I love to do this with Holly whenever we present at a Dutch event. I'm teaching her new Dutch words. So I'm not sure if you remember any of the words we've done previously.
No.
Yeah, but let's just head over to some new words. So
thanks to Mirko, I do know Stroop waffles.
Oh, well done. Yeah, that's actually one we also had before. But yeah, so we are presenting at the Workplace Ninjas in the Netherlands. Even they say also Workplace Ninjas. However, I thought it would be funny to translate it into Dutch. And yeah, so if you can say the word you see here.
Workplace Ninjas Netherlands.
No, you said the English word. Look again.
Netherlands?
No, the first word.
Oh, workplek.
Yes.
There we go. Okay.
Score. All right, next one.
Oh no. Suches? Patetjes?
Schatje patatje.
All right, you'd say it better.
Literally translated, it means sweetie French fry. But it's
I wondered. Okay, okay.
It's a cute word.
Of this worstlust.
Of je worstlust. So yeah, that's a typical Dutch sentence. Well, I'll just translate it literally, but it's if you like sausage. That's basically what it means.
Okay.
And one more.
Poppetjes? Popish. I'm out.
Poepie scheetje. All right, good. Let's get back to the story. So as Holly already told you, how it all started with fun, but then of course at one point we also have to get to serious business. So when we had decided let's start our video series, Head in the Cloud, Heart in the Community, we did not just want to start and like see whatever happens. We really like had some brainstorming sessions together, and yeah, I would love to tell you more about that. So yeah, we started brainstorming like, what is our mission? What are our goals? What are ideas we have? What are your ideas? What are mine? How can we mix them together? Yeah, always think about indeed, what's your mission? What's your goal? And start from there. So before we kicked off with our first episode, we first thought of our branding. So a color which resonates with me and Holly's pink. We both love pink, so we definitely wanted to bring in that color into our show. We actually got an external designer. We informed him, who was based in the Netherlands, by the way, but we informed him what we like, what our ideas are, and then from there on, our brand got created with lots of pink and purple. Then, of course, there's also stuff that we need. So, Holly, you want to enlighten us?
So for us, it was kind of, this building block that we did, because when COVID hit, obviously, I wasn't prepared to work from home. I certainly wasn't prepared to do a video series. I just had my laptop and that was it. I haven't been to the office since COVID. So we had to talk about how can we make sure we have the equipment that we need. And I had to think about my bandwidth, my Wi-Fi, my office configuration, and that is when I started to reach out to friends in the tech community. And I would ask, what kind of ring light do you have? What kind of camera do you have? What kind of microphone do you have? My point in sharing all that is that you don't have to do it by yourself. It's actually whatever your goal is, whatever your project is, it's okay to start to really identify from other people's voices and what works for them and what didn't work for them. And so slowly and surely, I did go ahead and invest in the equipment that I needed. And if you ever watch our show with Simon, he talks about how he had barely enough money just to buy a really good camera, and he invested that money, and now he has this insanely popular podcast series on his YouTube channel. So even though we're talking about our series, just remember that when you put the money and the time and the effort and the investment into whatever your goal is, it really becomes impactful down the road.
Yeah, and then thanks, Holly. And then also about planning. So we wanted to plan ahead. We wanted to divide responsibilities, create a timeline so that we know who's responsible for what, that we can rely on each other. And we actually made, what I believe is a perfect fit. Where Holly is actually arranging everything with our guests, with the people, sending out calendar invites, communicating basically everything pre-show, let's say that way. Then of course during the show, both of us have to be there. We run the show together with lots of passion, lots of fun. And then after the show, I ensure for the follow-up, do the editing, the posting, getting it out on social media. And that way you really have like a clear structure, who's responsible for what. And we always know, without even having to discuss for a next show, we know exactly who's going to do what. So if you're planning to start your video series with someone, or a blog, or whatever it is, any project you're working with somebody else, we highly recommend to have responsibilities agreed up front, so that makes it always easier and better to work together. Good, then.
And so for us, we have guests on our show. So we have to do a lot of research. So who do we want to have on the show? Why do we want to have them? And when I say this all the time, that, time is the greatest gift, because when you give somebody that time, you don't get it back. And so we want to make sure that their time with us is really impactful for them. And it's easy and it's fun. And so we share that together, where we talk about who we're going to invite, why we're going to invite them, and we make sure that we have the diversity and inclusion behind us, so that we make sure that we're advertising for everybody in the tech community.
Yeah, and then of course, thinking about topics and stories that we cover, what is the message that we want to bring across. So for every show that we do, we always think of our guests. So what is important to our guests to have highlighted? Is it a blog they wrote? Is it a video they created? Is it a session they presented? Is it any side hustle? Is it a hobby? Yeah, we always try to touch base on those points. Then we also think of community. So what is interesting for our community? What is currently important? What is relevant? Yeah, to also, of course, be stay current. That's what I wanted to say. And lastly, what we also find very important is ourselves. So what message do we find important? What do we want to get across? So for example, for us, a very important topic is women in tech. You will often find us talking about it or having guests. Actually, in one of our upcoming episodes, I will not say too much, but we also learned when we sort of said like, yeah, we're like non-tech women in tech. And that person said like, well, you're definitely in tech. It's just a non-coding role, right? So that's something that we also recently learned, but that's definitely a topic that we want to get across. And that's same for you. The more passion you have for something, the more better, of course, you can present it in your blog or in your series or in your session, wherever you're doing. So yeah, definitely think of what's important to you and feel that passion. Holly? Yep.
All right. So this was important for me because being that Izzy and I often would run live events, we know the time and the money that it takes to put these together. And so we wanted everything to be perfect when we're doing a live event. You know, you want your T's crossed, your I's dotted, everybody happy. And that's just not possible at home. At home, we have dogs and kids and phones and deliveries, and sometimes our bandwidth isn't the way we want it. Sometimes our Wi-Fi isn't as strong as we need it. And so I had to be okay with just letting things land how they do. And in some ways, those imperfections have driven some of the most fun moments. And so I would say whatever your journey, mission, project, goal is, give yourself a little bit of grace to have it not be as perfect the first go around. And that said, often those imperfections has led to stronger engagements later. We've learned, we've gotten feedback, we've been able to make improvements based on these things. So as you'll see, quite often my kids love to just pop in and say hi. And often we're so quick to say, oh, sorry, my dog, sorry about my kids, sorry about this. But you know what? It was really, really cute to have my little girl pop in and join the fun. If you'll go to the next, that was with Lori Potemeyer, who you guys probably know as she runs the Microsoft MVP program for Microsoft Teams.
We had more peekaboos.
There we go. Do you want to talk to this one, Izzy?
Yeah, absolutely. This was actually one of my one which was so cute. So it was on an episode with Jess and her daughter walked in and just so politely she just came in, say hi, and then she walked away and closed the door. But anyways, our point here is just let go. Don't be like, oh, what if like my kid walks in, or like Holly said, your dog starts barking. I think we're all in the do you say that? Is it an English expression? We're all in the same boat?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So we're all in the same boat, and just embrace it.
That's right.
Good.
Oh no.
Then it's time for Dutch lesson number 2 for Holly. Are you ready?
Should I just apologize now for completely ruining your beautiful language? I'm so sorry.
I also want to say that if you have any suggestions, please feel free to put some words in the chat, and then maybe in the Q&A we can pick one of those words, because I'm sure there are a lot of like fun Dutch words I couldn't think of before this session. But if you have anything, feel free to share your ideas. All right, so let's start with a polite one.
Dankjewel.
Yeah, close. Dankjewel.
Dankjewel.
What do you think it means?
Jewelry?
Thank you. I see where you're coming from though. It means thank you. All right.
Okay. Stinker class? Capoente?
Stinker class. Okay, I'm definitely gonna remember this one. Sinterklaas kapoentje. Yeah, I don't even know how to translate kapoentje, but it's like our Dutch Santa Claus. And kapoentje, ja, gooi wat in mijn schoentje. That's basically a song, which I will not sing now, but maybe if one day we get to present in person at the event and we have a glass of wine, I might sing that song.
I'm
All
here
right.
for it. Caduce?
Yeah, cadeautje.
Caduce?
What do you think it means?
Hello?
Little present.
Aw.
The last one.
Windmolen?
Yeah. So I'll help you with that one. It's a windmill. It's typical Dutch. I showed one here, and you pronounce it well. So well done. All right. So let's get back to talking about some of our top tips. So yeah, like we said before, if you're writing your blog, or if you're presenting, or if you're doing a video series, basically whatever you're doing, but in our case, for the video series, we find it most important to have fun. And the more fun we have, the more passion we put into it. And yeah, we just love to like prepare, and we are in touch before the show. And yeah, that's something I would really try to encourage everybody. Whatever you're doing, have fun. It's just so much easier. And yeah, back to fun, just a lot more fun. Secondly, what I find important for a video series is to have the right equipment. So have a good microphone, have lighting. Like Holly said at the beginning, she really invested like from scratch. Speaking of, if you are looking for any tips about your home office or about equipment, if you check out my website, can share it later, isidorakatanic.com. There is actually a home office awards, which we ran for the community in the last couple of weeks and months, where we collected home office photos from people in our tech community from all over the world. We had over 100 submissions. So thank you to everybody again who submitted, shared photos of their home office. And our main goal was to share inspiration for people who are starting from scratch. And especially as we know ourselves, we also had to start with, getting the right equipment to get our show out there.
And before you go to the next, for anyone on the call, Stephen Rose, he is on my team, or we're coworkers, and he actually does a lot of showcasing of new equipment for your home office on his show inside Microsoft Teams. So just another blog, and he does do a blog and podcast. So if anyone's interested in that, it's very lively, it's really interesting, and he always unboxes some new fun gadget or piece of equipment that's I found helpful as well.
Thank you for an extra tip, for a bonus tip. And then lastly, what I also find very important is to prepare ourselves for every show that we do. So no matter how many episodes we have done until now, for every episode, we really put our heads together. We have a preparation call where we quickly go through the topics we want to discuss, the questions we want to ask. So we really make sure that we do our preparation. And the same I would definitely give as a tip to you. And now let's head over to Holly's tips.
So quickly for me, just remember that this is your passion. So for us, it was this video series. If it's, designing something, if it's creating something, if it's coding, whatever your outside external passion is, this is something that's important to you. And so never lose that excitement over it. Because that's what's driving your goal in your project. The other is your voice is important. When we first started this, I thought, who in the world wants to hear about how much I love community? And then I realized a lot of people do, because we bring a lot of fun with it. And we noticed during our 3-month hiatus, people were reaching out, where's your show? We want to hear more. And so people do have a need for other people's external voice now more than ever. So be proud of that and be proud of what your passion is and share it, because we all need to learn from you. The other is
Holly, can I quickly jump in there?
Go for it.
What you said, your voice is important. I know sometimes, at least I had that, where I would think, but there are already so many shows out there. Like, so many people started their podcast. Oh, so many people started their videos, or However, don't think that way. Of course, you can say so many people did, but that should not stop you from doing it as well. Because like Holly said, your voice is important, your opinion. And that's also what we love, actually, that there are so many shows popping up that we can also learn from each other and see like, oh, how are they doing it? Or how are they tackling this? Or I think, yeah, the more people actually do it, the more we can learn from each other and the more diversity there is. And yeah, so don't let that ever stop you. And like Holly said, your voice is important. So yeah, next one.
And the other is not to stop learning. Every time we get feedback, every time we have somebody on the show, they typically will say, how do you do this? Have you thought about doing it this way? Or like Izzy's taught me, each different social platform has different algorithms that will make your post stronger or weaker. And we give each other feedback. How did that go? How do you think we did? And by doing those very open, frank conversations, it only helps to improve your product, your outcome, and your goal. And always, like we've said multiple times, just have fun. That's why we're all doing this.
Absolutely. And yeah, indeed. I'll repeat again, don't stop learning. We also keep learning every time. And like Holly said, with feedback, like even after this session, we will probably, as soon as we're done, we will call each other like, oh my God, I forgot to say this, or oh, did you say that? But the audience probably will not even notice if we forgot to say something. So often it's also, yeah, it's just in your own head, but the people who are actually watching or listening or joining, they will not even notice that, right?
And then lastly, this is our show. I mean, come and join us, take a watch. We just did our October session, and I'm very excited to land that for everybody as soon as we're finished with editing. We have such a diverse group. So if you want to know how to write a book and what that takes, join Mary's session, Mary Rodriguez. If you want to know how to really be spot on with your personal branding and the importance of it, take a look at Duck's Raymond session. And if you want to know why your passion is important and how you can integrate it into your own day job, I would really encourage you to check out How to Be a Dinosaur with Thready the T-Rex. So there's just so many different sessions that we have, and we don't just talk tech. We talk about how we got into tech. Then we talk about some of the side hustles, and it's just so fun to hear everybody's stories and to bring community together. And we would love to have everybody on this call join us.
Absolutely. So make sure you head over to our YouTube channel. We would love it if you subscribe, that we can also grow our network, yeah, to keep us moving and keep us going, of course. Yeah, so Holly, you want to quickly talk about Twitter?
Yep. So when we say we love community, we genuinely mean it. This is how Izzy and I became friends, was on Twitter. So please follow us, say hi, join our sessions, tweet us, retweet us, follow us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter or YouTube, and let us know your thoughts on the show. If you have any ideas, we're here for it, because the community voice is very, very important to us.
Definitely. And then one thing for our show, we always love to end with a little heart. We even ask our guests to show us a little heart, right? So also to everybody today, also a heart for you. Thank you very much. And also the Dutch royal family on King's Day, even they joined Head in the Cloud, Heart in the Community, which of course is very special, bringing it to the workplace ninjas in the Netherlands today as well. Yeah, if you have any questions for us, please shoot. And like Holly said, connect with us on Twitter. If you have any questions, you can always DM us afterwards. Yeah, don't be shy, reach out. And yeah, we hope you walk away from this session with, yeah, feeling inspired, whatever you're going to do next.
And thank you for having us. I hope that you all found this beneficial. And, I saw some Ignite comments. So I did put in, I had to do a plug for my team. I did put in the sessions that we're going to have for Microsoft Teams at Ignite and the MTC Live for Teams that we're going to have after Ignite. So had to do a plug. Hope that's okay.
Oh, that's okay. So if anyone has a question, please unmute yourself. Ari, I think you had a question?
I posted one in the chat box to read. not remarking about the cartoon, by the way. So somebody else did that. But with my name, that's a little bit difficult. Anyway, I was wondering, because you said you had 4 topics that you did before you went into the kickoff. What I kind of missed is, and I was wondering if you addressed that also, is what kind of budget did you have? Did you have a budget, or is it just from your own love, from your own passion that you put in some time and resources and that kind of stuff? Or did you actually have a kind of sponsor or maybe a kind of budget that you were able to use?
So shall I answer that one?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so we had no budget, we had no sponsor, we had nobody who would, well, we also did not really think of asking for it. We just, started to see what do we have ourselves, and what we said about even branding. So creating a branding with an external designer, that costs money. I mean, we paid a couple €100 out of our own pocket to actually get that done and to get our intro video done. But I think that also, maybe as perfectionist as Holly and I can be, I don't have the skills to create such an intro video. So I actually wanted to invest from my personal, let's say, pocket money to get somebody professionally to get that done. On another topic, we're actually currently looking into another personal investment, and that's to get a license for StreamYard. Just because we love, as a user, using StreamYard for recording and broadcasting, etc. But we know, of course, a license, it has a monthly fee, which we will now also invest into personally. But if you feel the need, Ari, we talked about Sinterklaas, who gives cadeautjes. No,
But I think
Well,
I think the other piece that we've shared with. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No problem, Holly. So maybe you have some latency because you're on the other side of the pond.
Yeah.
But So I was wondering, so what you say, it's you started it with this passion, and you also put in some of your own money. Do you have an indication what it needs to start this kind of presence in a community, or starting out with this way in a community? Is it $10, 100, 1,000? Not to be specific or just something like that, but maybe it's nice to know how much you need to have to kick it off in a more professional way, like you did.
Yeah, so I'll quickly think of numbers. I think for getting our branding, we're talking about like 400 or 500 maybe in total, everything together, getting our logo and the intro and the outro video and the copyrights, of course, for the music and so on. I think StreamYard is going to cost us $30 per month, if I say that correctly. And speaking of hardware, yeah, that ranges from a couple hundred to a couple thousand, right? Getting the right microphone, getting a ring light,
Camera.
Yeah.
I actually got all new docking stations, and I had to up my bandwidth, so we reconfigure. I mean, I probably would have had to do it regardless, because I was always in the office. So for me, it was a bit different because I had so much more to purchase, being that we weren't set up at all to be at home. And I think the other thing that I was going to mention is be okay with asking for help. I think that people forget that. They think, oh, I'm a really aggressive coder. I know how to code, or I know how to do 3D printing, or I know how to do X, Y, and Z. And when you reach out for help like we did, whether it be looking for equipment, or Izzy looking for someone to help us with the intro or outro, or just saying, hey, you were on our show, what's feedback? It only makes it better. So asking for help is only going to make you a better influencer to whatever that looks like for you.
Okay, cool. Thank you. I got more questions. I don't know if anybody else has them, but I can.
Well, we're getting some really positive comments in the IM window. So thank you, everybody. We've been really blessed to have good people on the show.
Okay. Hey,
So if I may ask one question more?
Of course you can, Ari.
Yeah, from a personal interest also, because your presence on so many different platforms do you approach them differently, or do you just do a big shout out with one message over all the different platforms, or do you custom them towards it? Because apparently you're also on TikTok, and that's completely different than going on to LinkedIn or whatever, or something like that.
Do you mind if I jump in on that, Izzy?
Go ahead.
So for my, just speaking for myself, yes, I have a different voice, but it's genuinely me. But my voice is different on each platform because I'm speaking to a different type of audience. So what I share on Instagram and Facebook is going to be more me as a mom and a wife and a friend. On Twitter, I try to drive more of the community discussions that I have. And then on LinkedIn, I really try to drive community/business. And I think that by having those different voices, even though they're all genuinely who I am, allows for a better engagement. I've heard a lot of people say, oh, well, LinkedIn isn't meant for X, Y, and Z posting, and they'll be unfollowed, or they ignore it, or they don't have as much relevance. So I think even like with different, Ignite, we're there for IT pros. At MMS, we're there for MVPs. If you keep the same voice with all your audience, I don't think you're going to have as much impact.
Thanks very much. Thank you for your insights.
Great, thanks. So that brings us to the end of this first session. If everything is okay, Nicole is already in the session as well. So Nicole, welcome.
Hi.
So you managed to join our session. So welcome.
Thank you.
I want to wrap up the session of EC and Holly by thanking them for your time. Thank you so much. It was a great session, and it's different than the deep technical dives that we have normally, but that makes it even more interesting. So thank you for that.
Thank you
for
very
having
much,
us.
Kenneth, and everybody else, of course, behind the scenes. Thank you for organizing the user group virtually. It's been great fun to see your faces here on screen, and let's hope that we get to see each other in person rather sooner than later.
Let's hope so as well. So,
and good luck, Nicole.
Nicole, are you ready for your session?
Yes.
Okay, so I will give the presentation to you, and good luck with it.
Thank you. So I will share my screen. You should now see my presentation, right?
Yeah, we can see it. Thanks.
Okay, cool. Then I want to talk about Microsoft Viva today. So I called my session Your New Life with Microsoft Viva, because I think if you are using all the different components right in there, and we will talk about what's Microsoft Viva in a few seconds, then you can completely rearrange your daily business life. I don't think the whole life, but the daily business life can be changed with it. First, before I think the share screen was removed. One moment. So now it should be back again. First, I want to introduce myself. My name is Nicole Enders. I'm working as a managing consultant in Germany, and my main topic is all around about a modern workplace. So from my background, I've been a software developer for a long time in the Microsoft area. Then I came to SharePoint, and since a few years now, I'm working with Office 365, or nowadays we call it Microsoft 365. And I'm pretty sure that most of you were using Microsoft Teams last year and this year really intensively compared to the years before. I remember the time when I was using Microsoft Teams for the first time. That was nearly at the beginning. We wanted to check out what's going on with this tool. Can we work with this? And I have a team which is distributed in 3 different locations. So we thought, oh, okay, would be nice to have a tool where we can work together, even if you're a multilingual team, as we were. then you can check out different functions like the translate function and so on, which came up a little bit later during the process. Yeah, and I'm not focused or limited to Microsoft technologies, so I'm looking what's going on there. Are there other tools which can help us? Can we combine different tools to work together? So in my daily business life, I check out different things, and I try to find cool solutions. And not only from a technical perspective, I always keep in mind that we have the people there, and that every new tool is a change, and you have to think about how you can adopt this. Maybe there are some challenges which you don't have in your mind if you are a technical person, but it's really important to help everybody to get to know what's going on there. And as Microsoft Viva was announced, I was thinking about, what's this? Is this another tool? Have I to think about what's going on there? What can I do with these tools? And first of all, if you are using Microsoft Teams today, then Microsoft Viva is some kind of an add-on. So maybe you are already using different apps. Me, for example, if I'm using a team room, then I'm using Planner for my task management quite often. So I integrate the Planner app into my team room. And if we think about Viva, then there are different aspects which can help us. You see these 4 different modules right here. And we will go through the different modules and check out what's going on there. And first of all, I want to start with topics. Yeah, topics, I would say it's some kind of a knowledge management with some support of an AI component behind it. And I have the situation that I'm pretty sure that I've learned something. Maybe it's some months ago, or I know that the information is in an email, or was it in the chat message in Teams, or was it somewhere else? Did anybody talk about a special topic in Yammer? I'm not sure where I have to look for. And yes, I could use the general search on the Office portal, for example, or maybe I'm pretty sure that it's in SharePoint, and I can go with the SharePoint search and so on. But maybe I don't find this information really easily, and I don't get these connections, so that somebody was using this topic name in Yammer in a discussion, and somebody else wrote it in his email, and that it's in a document and so on. So I have to know that this information exists, that I can find this. And with topics, it's completely different, because I don't need to know that this information is right there, because Viva Topics helps me and provides me the information. We will see this on the next slide. So if I look on the next one, I was mentioning connections before, so go to the right, connections. I think that's quite easy, because if you think about your daily business, maybe it's similar to mine. So Teams is the first application I start every morning, and when I'm looking in Teams and I see my notifications and see, okay, I was mentioned here, maybe in a project team, and I have to look what's going on there. And I have 3 new chat messages, and then I'm working in Teams, and maybe I forget to have a look in our intranet. So our intranet, it's based on SharePoint, but I would have to open my intranet homepage via the browser. So I have to leave Teams, my Teams desktop application. I have to open the browser, and maybe it's the first screen which is automatically opened, but often I would forget it. So with Viva Connections, it's quite easy to integrate the intranet into Teams. So think about the left navigation where you have the chat and the team rooms and maybe your call menu item. You could also have a menu item for your intranet or any other important SharePoint-based websites. So I will show you in the live demo another example as an intranet, but if we stay with the intranet scenario for a moment, then it would be really great to have all the information right there, and you don't need to leave the Teams application. So you can get all information right from there without any breaks right there. If you go here to the middle, to Viva Learning, I think that's more or less self-explaining. So you have some kind of a learning app. Before Viva Learning, you would have to build your own learning solution, or you would have to buy a learning component. I know that there are many third-party components right out there, but now you get one from Microsoft, and we will see this a little bit more in detail. And last but not least, because I said I'm here from Germany, so Insights, it's a little bit difficult to explain to my customers, because Insights, that's a component which collects a lot of information about me and maybe about my team, but also about the whole organization, so all employees, and gives some kind of recommendations, what we can improve in our daily business. So but let's have a look into these 4 components more in detail. And in the live demo, we will have the connections and the insights component. Topics and learning is only on the next slides. So if you look on topics right here, so you see the Teams desktop application, and on the left side, you see the mobile version. And what can we see? We have a common team chat right here in the desktop application. So Crystal wrote a weekly update, and she wasn't thinking about that there are any topics and knowledge in the company and so on. She was only writing her message. So she wanted to inform somebody, and after sending this message, you see that there's one word which is formatted like a hyperlink. And if she would hover, or anybody else would hover over this this topic, then you would get some kind of a topic card, and we see the topic card here in the mobile version as well. So you see the topic name, you see a short description, and then you get a lot of more information. So you get all the people who are related to this topic, maybe because they produced some content, or if they said in their profile that they're an expert, for example, in this topic. And you get other resources like documents. You will get related topics, so you can have some kind of a relationship. And for me, it seems like a really intensive knowledge management. I had a lot of projects in the past where my customers said, oh yeah, we have so many knowledge in our company, but it's always in the heads of our employees. So how can I get this knowledge maybe in some kind of a wiki? Yeah, and we were trying, okay, we need maybe a SharePoint website, and we call it the company or corporate-wide wiki. And then we will have some nice pages. We have a layout for these pages, and there will be an approval process or something else. So we were thinking about everything we can do, that it has a common structure for each wiki page, that you can find information easily. But then there was always a problem that you need the people who write these wiki pages or wiki articles. Yeah, another customer said, I'm sure that my employees won't do this. They won't write long blog articles. So maybe we can do this with a tool like Microsoft Stream. So they record short video clips and then we can share our knowledge. But it was the same situation. You need to find the right people who want to produce these videos as you would have to write the wiki or blog articles. Yeah, and here it's done automatically. So yes, you have a common or a central SharePoint site. That's the so-called topic center. But in the topic center, you can add your topics manually. But the really cool idea is that there is the AI component from Microsoft, which scans all the information which is there in your tenant. So it doesn't matter if it's in Yammer, in SharePoint, in Teams, in your emails, or so on. And it finds the right information to recommend a topic. And you will need a new role in your company. That's the topic or information manager. Because the topic manager, he has to say, okay, there's a new topic which is recommended by the AI. And yes, that's a topic for our company. So I approve this, and then you get the topic page and you can design the common description, and then you can add other components because it's nothing else as a SharePoint page. So you can design this, but you have different components which are there to show the people and the related documents and topics and so on. So it's an AI supported knowledge management, and for sure it's security trimmed. So I will only see the information where I would have access to in the other applications. And so maybe the topic pages look a little bit different for everybody of us. But we don't need to find everybody to write these long articles or to record a video or whatever. So that's about topics. What's behind this? As I said, it's an AI component. Maybe you are already familiar with the AI builder. So that's the same situation behind this. And then you can go with this because the topic manager only needs to have some skills for the SharePoint side. So he sees the recommendations and he designs the topic pages. And then they are here in mobile and also in the different applications. So if you hover over a topic, that you get this information. If you go to connections, because I mentioned this as the second one, we will also see a little bit different example in the live demo. Here is a standard example, I would say, from Microsoft. So if you think about in the left navigation, we have this reCloud, icon. That's the app which stands for connections. So if you are using Viva Connections, then you can add an app. There's also a link on my resources slide how to do this. And you can decide, okay, what's the logo, what's the name of my app, and which SharePoint page should show up here. So I would say that in the most situations you would start with the homepage of your intranet. But maybe you have some other important pages. So if you're going with SharePoint hub sites, for example, intensively, so maybe a hub site is important for you and you want to add it right here. Every employee will have this app in his menu bar. Maybe it's the first one, maybe it's a little bit later. I can rearrange this for me. And then I get all the information there. So for me, as I start with Teams every morning, then I would say, okay, I will have a look in the intranet. I see the new updates from my managing director, for example. I have a dashboard on the right side. And when I've checked everything, then I will go to chat and team rooms and so on and check this later on. So you have a whole integration. And for me as a user, it's not important that there are different tools behind this, because that's my single point of contact at this moment. I have all this information right here. And if I go on my smartphone, because I know many of us are not sitting at the desk every time, then you see here that we also have this app here at the bottom. So as we have this menu bar on the mobile version here, we click on the icon and then we have all the information, but it's divided into 3 tabs. On the desktop application, you have a lot of more space, so it isn't necessary here. We see the dashboard. That's the one we have here on the right side. We have a feed, and we also see other resources. Let's go to learning. Maybe you would say it's not so important in the daily business, but for me, I want to change this, because now we were thinking about, I start every morning with Teams. I'm using Viva connections to get all the information in my intranet. I have Viva topics as a support for the whole day, because I get topics, I get knowledge, which I wouldn't find, or which I wouldn't know that I can find it. And now let's talk about learning, because I think when you're using cloud technology, you cannot become an expert and stay an expert for a long time without doing anything. So you have to learn new stuff, because the world changes every day. And a learning component can be really helpful. And as you see here, it's also an app, so it's integrated here, also in the menu bar. And if you look here, you can have a huge catalog with learning material. It can be your own content. It can be some third-party content. So maybe Microsoft Learn or LinkedIn Learning or Pluralsight or whatever. And then every employee can have a look and build some kind of his own learning box. And you can work on these different modules, one after the other. But as you can see, there's also a Manage tab. And that's really cool for me, as I have my own team, that I can think about what's best for my employees to learn. So I can have a look in this catalog, and then I can create some kind of learning path for my employees. Maybe it depends on the different roles we have in my team, and then I can check what's the progress. So maybe they need some support or so. Yeah, and last but not least, what's really cool here is also that I can recommend learning modules to other colleagues. So it's not only to manage myself, it's also to help each other. So maybe one of my colleagues told me, I had a real problem in this project. I didn't know how to do this or this in a really good way. It doesn't matter for this project at the moment, but it would be great to learn this stuff. And then I see such a learning module that I could say, okay, I recommend this. I create some kind of chat message for this colleague, and he knows that he finds this module right there. I know that you need time to learn something new, but for me, I believe in the good in the world. So for me, it's a common part in our daily business life. Maybe not every day, but I would say you have to save some time for learning new stuff, which is not related to a special project or whatever. So you have to save some time right there. And I also know how to save some time. And that's where I want to talk about insights. So I have a short video here, and it shows some stuff mainly focused here on my team and my org, because these two tabs won't be there in the live demo. I have only my personal view right there. But if we go to the personal view, then I will show this to you even live, but these two are for this video. So I play the video one, and I think it takes 1 minute.
Work is different now. We're commuting less, virtually meeting more. Separating work life and life can feel challenging. It's easy to forget that to thrive at work, we need to take care of ourselves. Microsoft Viva Insights offers new experiences to balance productivity and well-being. Personal insights help you stay at your best and most productive. Add structure to your remote workday by opting for a virtual commute, carving out time to have a productive start in the morning and mindfully disconnect in the evening. Protect time before your calendar fills up for focused work, coaching, and learning. Take regular mental breaks with Headspace, tapping into dedicated moments of mindfulness. Use emotional check-ins to tune into your day-to-day mindset and well-being. Strengthen team bonds with Stay Connected experiences that prompt you to praise collaborators, schedule one-on-ones, and follow up on pending commitments and outstanding tasks. Insights for managers and leaders offer windows into how work happens and the impact on employee well-being. Identify where teams may be isolated and take action to break down silos. Quickly discover opportunities to prevent burnout, promote coaching and development, and boost engagement. You and your team's well-being is important, especially in times of change. Taking care of one another allows you to thrive and your organization to build resilience. Experience how new well-being insights in Viva can help.
So I think that's where I want to go to the live demo. So see this here, and that's pretty cool. So I I know it's nearly the end of the business day, and what we see here is the virtual commute of Viva Insights. So in the short video clip, you saw the women at the morning with the cup of coffee. That's the virtual commute in the morning, and here's the virtual commute for the end of the business day. And I said, I think I set the reminder on 5:30. So as I joined you, it must have shown up here. And that's some kind, if you're sitting in the home office, then for me, it's quite often so that I don't really get this end of the business day. So maybe I'm working a little bit longer, or I take a break. Then we will have dinner, and then I continue my work. And Microsoft said, okay, we want to give you some help. Viva Insights has a lot of more stuff provided there, but this is one component. And so it reminds me that at this time, I've chosen this with 5:30, that it's time to wrap up my day and to have my private evening at this time. So maybe I say, let's go. What's doing this here? It asked me, do you have some open tasks? So before using Viva Insights, I was working with pen and paper or with a OneNote file or whatever. And now it asks me, what do you have in your mind? Write it down. Then you can release it because you have a task, and in the morning you can continue working on them. So I can add a task or multiple ones, and then I can go next. And I see what's coming up tomorrow. So for me, it's important. I'm not so happy if I have to work up very early. So if I see, okay, at 8 a.m. there's my first meeting, and that's a customer meeting for around about 4 hours. So maybe I need to prepare a little bit. So that's important for me, that I know that my day starts at 8 a.m. and not at 9 or whatever. And I have only this meeting tomorrow. If I would have more, then I would have multiple entries here. So I can say, okay, I know what's going on tomorrow. I don't need to switch to my calendar for this. And then next one, you see I have also the reminder for how am I feeling, but I'm asked here as well. So that's some kind of self-reflection. So was it a good day? I think it was a good day. Could also be an excellent day, but that's for special days for me. And then last but not least, I get some meditation right here. Here in this example is this headspace, but it can also be a basic version where you have only a bubble which is growing and then shrinking again and so on, and you get 1 minute to breathe in a kind way. I can play this, but you see it's about 10 minutes, so I will skip this. Then he says, okay, enjoy the rest of your day. I've done my virtual commute. So think about this, that this is the end of your business day. But what's about if I start my day? So I go here on the Insights app. Maybe I've checked what's going on in my intranet. I've checked my messages. Or what about starting my business day with Insights? So I would see my next meeting. So now in the evening, I'm not seeing anything here. I have my self-reflection, and I can do this multiple times during the day. So if you want to use this, that's only for you. So nobody else sees the data, only you have this information, and you can think about how I'm feeling bad for 2 days now. What was going on there? So maybe that's some special task you have, or some meetings or whatever. So maybe you're stressed. So that's for you. And then you have here the meditation part. You don't need to wait until the virtual commute to do this. So you can do this during the day if you're taking some breaks. You saw this in the video too. And that's a function. When I talk to others, then they say, okay, if you have a team, then it's really cool that you can think about that you praise your employees. But I think that's for everybody. And if I think about, oh, my day was really good, was it related to a person? So did somebody help me with a really complex task? Or did I work with somebody together on a project? What about sending a praise? Yes, this function was already there in a team chat or in a one-to-one chat, but now it's here included in Insights as well. So if I say, okay, I want to send a praise, you know these icons, and maybe I say, okay, it's awesome. I can type in the name. I'm always choosing Anna because we work very close to each other. And then I can decide if I want to send this message only to Anna, or if I want to send this in a team chat, and then I can select the team, and then it's sent right there. And you have also these reminder settings. As I said, you can set a reminder for the virtual commute, for the self-reflection, and also here for the praising. So maybe you say, okay, on a Friday in the afternoon, I want to think about what was really good in the week. And then I want to set this reminder. So for me, for example, it's Friday at 4 p.m. So let's go back. Back again that we are here, because then we have this last line here. So stay connected. You see it's also a tab right here. That's for you to think about. Maybe you got an email with an email attachment. You read the email, but you didn't ever open the email attachment. You will see this here in Stay Connected. So it will show up. yes, you got an email, but you didn't read the email attachment. Are you sure that you want to do this in this way? Or maybe you send an email to somebody with a question. So if you are using the question mark, it recognizes this and it gives you a reminder. You sent a question to somebody, but you didn't get an answer till today. Do you want to re-ask this person? It's also looking for the meetings. So if you are working with people very close to each other and your manager is the first person or your employees are the first persons which are related to you, then it thinks about, did you have a one-to-one meeting with your manager or with your employees in the last 2 weeks or so? It will show up here and also here in Stay Connected. If we have a look right here, I think there should be one example. I hope so. Come on. Maybe it has to reload. It's always, if you're doing live demos, then you have to pray for the demo god. But we see it here. So, for example, this person, that's my manager in the demo environment. And he asked me if I want to schedule a one-to-one meeting because we don't have one in the next 2 weeks. And he also recommends a meeting which is possible for both of us. So I can send an invite and then we will have our one-to-one meeting. And it would be the same for your employees. Yeah, and here is the part where I would save some time for learning. So it's a so-called focus time. If I think about my last months, I had one Teams meeting after the other, and it was some days it was really hard to get a break, maybe for lunch or to think about the end of my business day and so on. So I couldn't take a breath between these different meetings, and for me, booking focus time is really important because I need to prepare for a meeting. I'm doing the meeting and then I have to wrap up or I get some tasks out of the meeting. And it would be great to work 1 or 2 hours in a row on a topic. So with booking focus time, that's possible. And maybe we'll have a look what's going on there. If I click on book now, then it's only the recommendation I've got here. So you found 1 to 3 p.m. tomorrow. But if I go on protect time here, then I will see that there are a lot of other recommendations. And it looks in my calendar, and I had some weeks where he said, okay, I cannot give any recommendations because your calendar is so full. So maybe we have to think about something else. Yeah, and if I'm using this focus time, I go to my calendar to show you what he did. So for tomorrow, I have now my focus time. And the coolest function right here is, think about my customer project. I'm working in this customer project tomorrow. And then I will have lunch. And if I come back, I want to focus on a special topic. Maybe I have to do something for the upcoming customer meeting. And at 1 p.m., my team status will go to do not disturb. And I can work. So no phone call, no chat message, nothing will disturb me. I can work on my own. And when we have 3 p.m., my status will be back again on available or on in a meeting or what else. It depends what's going on 3 p.m. So let's go back on insights. Because last but not least, we have to do here right here. And that's because in the virtual commute, I'm asked for some tasks. And if I'm going and adding different tasks, then they will show up right here as well. But I could also go with the task and planner app and see all my tasks because these are only my tasks and to do, which are show up here. Yeah, and as I said, I will show you connections with a different example. So I added here connect learning. So maybe I will not use all these 4 modules because Viva Learning was in private preview for a long time and nobody could try it out if you are not in this special group for the private preview. Maybe you have a learning solution. And I, for example, I like the Microsoft 365 learning pathways. And I said, okay, intranet scenario, that's sure, but maybe I have this learning platform and I want to integrate it with Viva connections as well. And that's why I created this app. And now I have here my learning pathways. That's a standard scenario, which can be found in the SharePoint lookbook, for example. If you don't know the SharePoint lookbook and the Microsoft 365 learning pathways, I really recommend that you check it out, because if you need a demo environment, then you find really good examples there. And then you can create a new site in your tenant and you have this really, really cool templates right there. And if I click the first time on this icon here on this menu item, if I click a second time, then I have the app bar here. If you are going with SharePoint, then you may have recognized that you have this app bar on the left side. So as we have the Teams navigation, you have in SharePoint such navigation now too. And this navigation can be accessed via Teams as well. So I see my global navigation, I see my different sites, the news, and so on. And it would be also an integration to get all the news of your intranet as well. So think about what are the important SharePoint pages you want to integrate, and then you can do this. What you have to keep in mind, or what you have to check out, is what's going on with the logo, because here in this case, it doesn't look really good. But if I switch my layout, for example, here settings, and I go with the dark mode, then it looks different. And the same as I go here on apps. Yes, I know that's another logo format because you have to provide 2 logos for the Connections app. Then it looks a little bit different, and that's fine in dark mode and in the light mode as well. But in the light mode, this menu item doesn't look really good. So we have to think about how we want to do this. So let's go back to the slide, because I only 2 more information. One is here about the roadmap. The Viva roadmap is included in the Microsoft 365 roadmap. And there you can get a lot of information about the different modules. And if you want to check it out, then there are different resources here. The first ones are related to Viva Connections. So how to set up a home site for your organization. I don't think that you really need a home site to go with Viva Connections, but it's recommended by Microsoft. Then you can configure your app bar. So what should show up there as I click the second time on the menu item? How do you want to install the Viva Connections app? And then there's some other links for the Viva Insights app, because if you want to go with these 2 tabs I didn't show in the live demo, so with my team and with the whole organization, then you have to go to the admin center, because you need to assign the persons to the 2 different roles. And you have also to think about if you want to manage permissions for your team's apps, because every menu item which is in your team's navigation, that's representing an app. And if you don't want to show up this app for everybody, so think about if you are sharing a tenant with multiple companies, or if you want to have some kind of a smaller testing group, then you have to think about these permissions as well. And you can also find a link here for setting up Viva topics. You can check it out for, I think, 30 days. It's at the moment. And last but not least, you find the Viva roadmap. And there you can find what's rolled out, what's in development, and what's planned next. So that's it. If you want to find some general information about Viva, then here's the link to the Microsoft website. And if you want to stay in contact with me or ask any questions which are not in your mind at this moment, then you can find me on Twitter and on LinkedIn. And I have also my own blog. But now I would be really happy to ask any questions you may have.
Awesome. Yeah, if anyone has a question, I will recheck the chat, but if you have a question, you can unmute yourself and ask it directly. And to get started, I was wondering, Nicole, what about, is Viva included in any of the Microsoft licenses that we currently know?
Yeah, I'm really excited what they will tell us at Ignite next week, because one time I heard that every of these 4 modules would cost $4 per user per month. If I sum it up, I come to $16 per user per month, and that would be too expensive for most of the companies, I would say. So I heard that they will announce some new licensing information at Ignite, but I don't have newer updates. I'm sorry.
Okay, but we can expect some news there coming up.
Yeah.
That's good to know. And can you, because of course competitors of Microsoft are working on these kind of solutions as well. Can you name some examples on what you see from competitors, and maybe we already know that, so that we can better compare what Microsoft is trying to accomplish?
Yeah, for the learning component, I did some projects with LMS 365. So that's completely SharePoint based. But if you keep in mind that with the construct of Viva Connections, that you can integrate a SharePoint page into your team desktop client, then for me it would be the same. So I have my LMS 365, I'm using this, and then I integrate it into Teams. So why should I use Viva Learning at this time? But there's some other learning components. So if you going with LinkedIn Learning or Pluralsight or whatever, I'm sure most of my customers would prefer a standard solution, but it's, as I said, I'm a software developer, so there's always a solution where you could say, okay, I'm using this third-party component, and now I create a Teams app, and a Teams app is nothing else as an iframe of an application. So I would create my own app, and then I integrate the third-party component if there is no other connector right there. If we go a little step further, so we think about Viva Topics, the knowledge management. I personally don't know anything else right there what's going the same way, because as I said, I built a lot of solutions in the past, but there was always the point that people did have to enter this information, and it was not AI based. Yeah, and Viva Connections, as I said, it's a way to integrate a SharePoint page. So for me, from a technical perspective, it's really easy. So it's more a marketing campaign of Microsoft for doing this. And I don't think about that you need any competitors. With Viva Insights, yes, there are a lot of tools there for meditation and for the different aspects I've shown. But I think the USP right here is the integration of all this different stuff. So yeah.
Hey, and about integration, do you expect also maybe other products to be able to be integrated as well? Because, for example, take WhatsApp, and I maybe had a conversation via WhatsApp, and it would be nice to have that information pop up in searches and things as well. Do you think that will happen?
I'm not sure if we will see this so early in Teams itself. I'm also looking at Dynamics 365, and with this whole omni-channel component there, you get access to the different platforms. So, for example, WhatsApp can be integrated there. So, and on the same time, Microsoft is closing the gap between Microsoft Teams and Dynamics. So if you heard on Inspire or on Build, they were talking about the collaborative apps. So bring Dynamics into Teams. So maybe we'll see this on this way, that the platforms and the tools will be integrated.
Yeah, indeed. Very interesting. My last question is, when you look at Viva, there's of course a technical component, but what kind of other people do we need to involve in order to have content in it and design the way it should interact?
In my department, we have a special team that's called the Work and Experience team. So they're not focused on Viva or on Microsoft technology. They're working completely different. For me, every talk with them is really, really helpful, because they think about the general employee experience situation. So what do the people need? What are the different user profiles or the different aspects you have to think about? And if we are talking about Microsoft Viva, then I think yes, you need the technical person, but most of this, you need these persons who know how to talk to the different persons in a company. You have to think about the management, because the management has to use this. They have to be some kind of an idol for the employees. And you also need the different employee groups. And for me, if I talk to my colleagues in this work and experience group, it's really funny, because sometimes I say, okay, that's so easy. We only have to click one thing there, and then they say, yes, you have to click one thing. But for another person, it means a completely change. So we have to help these persons with the change.
Yeah, interesting. So we as IT persons need to start working with other people in the organization. That's the conclusion, I think. Hey, I see no other questions popping up, so I want to propose to wrap up your presentation. And that begins, of course, with thanking you for taking the time to do this presentation for us. For me, it's more clear what Viva is. I still have a lot of questions though, but you supplied us with enough information to actually read more on that. And we would appreciate it if you would share your slides with us, which I can share with our audience as well. I have some slides to wrap up the whole meeting. So if you give me the chance to actually present that. Of course, my sharing window is taking some time to present here. One moment. Here we go. So again, thanks everyone for joining. It's almost 6:30 already, so yeah, we appreciate you taking time to join us. Our next meeting is on premises, which means that we are able to meet each other again on November 4th. I already shared some details on the beginning of this meeting. Again, a big thanks to our sponsors. And for now, I want to thank everyone for attending. Have a nice evening, and we hope to see you soon again in one of our next meetings. Bye-bye.
Bye.